not easy. So sustainability and plastics in 2025, how do we go from here? This is the topic of today's talk. And when we talk of plastics, plastics have made an impact to our lives like never before. Plastics are used right from the diapers to the rockets. And at the same time, they have been a cause of the pollution which is affecting the human life like none before. So how to balance this, and how do we go from here? Is it a wonder material, or is it a material which is problematic? That is what we are going to see today. Next slide, please. So the basic things of life: roti, kapda, makan, air, water, food, shelter, safety, sleep, and clothing. And friends, how is plastics related to all this roti, kapda, and makan? Roti is food. The utensils are made with plastics, Teflon coating on the tawa as we know it. Kapda, polyester clothing is and nylon. I'll tell you a story how nylon was discovered. It's a nice story. Just work was going on in New York and London. That's how the word nylon came. And today we wear polyester clothing and nylon clothing. Today we know the importance of plastics in house, pipes, electricals, whatever we have in our house, it is related to plastics. So that's how plastics is. Next, please. Ag- Food, kapda, makan. Again, how plastics has played its role here. Next, please. An iconic speech by an Indian Prime Minister in 1972. The lower and the upper middle income countries, the short form is LMI and UMI, are in a state of transition. 1972 ka baat hai. Millions are being lifted out of poverty, fueling consumption. Waste management is a serious issue in the lower and upper medium countries. The problem of waste management is not new, my friends. This speech by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi at the United Nations has far repercussions. We have this problem since 1970s, and are not poverty and need of the human being the greatest polluters? We blame pollution, but who are behind that pollution? It is the human being. Want his need, they are the greatest polluters. Next, please. Vice, ladies and gentlemen, we went through a very different phase of our life, pandemic, and a new word was coined, the new normal. In a, the new normal was a normal which everyone accepted. But I don't see it is a new normal. I say it is an accepted normal, and our lives have changed like never before. So in that normal, we have a graph. On one side, it's the consumer-driven factors, and other side are the government regulations. On one side, there is health and hygiene. On another side, there is sustainability, technology, and the new normal, balancing act. Health and hygiene has become important. Cleanliness of the factory and the ground level storage has become important. Nutrition has become important. At the same time, waste management has become important. End of life solution to the waste created has become important. We see more pollution in the days post the pandemic. We see that we start talking of ecological footprints in the new normal. At the same time, we have technologies, artificial intelligence, smart packaging and printing. This is what are the new developments in the new normal in the waste management story. Next, please. Indian plastics sector. The growth continues. The per capita or the per person per year consuming plastics in India in the year 2025 is just 15 kgs, while the US consumes 100 kgs and the world average is 80 kgs. A country of 1.48 billion people just consuming 15 kgs per person per year. And we seem to have all the problems of plastic here. And at the same time, there are talks about banning. Can we afford that? We will see in the presentation later. Next, please. I am again going to tell you the Indian plastic waste story. In 2024, 220 million tons of plastic was created. 70 million tons end up in nature due to the imbalance, and the consumed plastic was much, and the plastic waste post the pandemic rose at 7%. This is the very important thing. India's rank in the mismanaged plastic waste has improved significantly. Look at that rank. Fourth, with 98.5% of waste generated being managed, has improved. That is the sad part. We are at the 95th position. We are taking leadership in the world on various fronts, but look at our mismanaged plastics. In a ranking of 195 countries on this earth, we are at 95. Isn't it time to ponder instead of blaming? Someone in the plastic industry has coined a very nice statement which I'd like to share with you. Plastics do not litter, people do. Remember, friends, at the time of the pandemic, we saw the mask being littered, or being in the oceans or in the rivers. How did that mask come there? The same mask which saved the human life, did it come there by itself? It came because of littering. There is a study which says that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than the fish. How come the plastic ends up in the ocean? Will it come by itself? Plastic consumption is growing nearly 10% and waste management 20%. That is the story. India's plastic growing consumption at 10%. So how can we balance that? 10% growth and 20% in waste. It is for us to think. Next, please. On one side, we have plastics being banned. On the other side, the PET. The PET is the polyethylene terephthalate. The classic example is of the water bottle of plastic. Current consumption of PET in the rigid packaging application is 12 lakh tons and growing at a figure of 13%. Flexible packaging application is 9 lakh tons, growing at 11.5%. On one side, plastics being banned. On the other side, this is growing. The consumption continues as we grow towards a Viksit Bharat. The expected consumption and waste generation is to be 250 lakh metric tons in a Viksit Bharat of 2047. What are the answers to this, my friends and illustrious colleagues and teachers? What are the answers to this? Market growth. Look at that slide. 2017 to 2019. Is it not a dichotomy? Actual figures and forecast. Next, please. Changing the consumer world, the role of plastics in packaging. How we have seen the shift of the packaging from conventional to the plastics, milk, from the traditional glass to the 3 or 5 layer film packages. Friends, the milk pouches that we see of ½ liter and 1 liter and 1/4 liter, they are not of a single layer plastics. It is 3 to 5 layers. The toiletries, the shampoos and the soaps being converted to plastic pouches and films. The cement bags from the jute to the PP and the HDPE. Again, going back sometimes to the jute. But is it worth it? Is it cost effective? One has to think. Toothpaste. We begin our day with the toothbrush and the toothpaste. From the metal to the transparent, the plastic laminate. How life has changed. Life of convenience or life of problem. That's what plastic is. Next, please. Is it not a condition of mistaken identity? Let us talk in the language which India understands. The good, the bad, the ugly, Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. The good, the bad, the ugly. Sattvic, अगर plastic है, तो plastic littering here Rajasic है, and Tamasic. When we litter and mix the plastics, is it not the bad part? Mixing up all the waste, the dry, the wet. We have a famous thing that cow eats the plastic. Does the cow know what is plastic? The cow is not interested in the plastic. The cow is interested in the food that has been put in the plastics and that has been thrown. So who is the issue? What is the issue? Who is the issue maker? The cow or me, the human being? Let's try to set the priorities and the things correct as we are here. Many of our learned friends here are PhDs and they understand science. I am not here to promote the use of plastics, but I'm here to promote the correct use of plastics if needed and its waste management. Next, please. World resources would have depleted faster without plastics. Population of the world has gone up 8 times in the 200 odd years. Packaging that is 8 times lighter was needed if Earth had to sustain the population boom. Plastics made this possible. The last plastic invented was in the year 1975. And we are talking of same material which was just invented 25 and 25, 50 years ago. We talk of plastics not disintegrating for 10,000 years or 1,000 years. Who has seen that here? Let's talk sense. Let's talk scientific. Let's talk about the life cycle analysis and see what is better. Next, please. The Indian story. 10,000 plus recycling units, mostly in the organization sector. Employment of 10 lakh plus people. Direct manpower, 1.2 million manpower, 100% of rigid plastic being recycled, 95% of the PET bottles being recycled. We hardly find any of the plastic bottles on the road because it's a value. The same water bottle which we buy for 20 rupees, that has a value, intrinsic value, and when it is collected back, when it goes to the whole chain from the littered part where from the dump through the waste picker, then to the kabadi wala, and when it reaches back, that same plastic is sold at 45 rupees. This is the value chain, and that is the value of that recycled plastic. Sorry, the pet material, and that's why in India about 95% of PET bottle is collected, and in a far-reaching landmark by Food and Safety Standards Association of India, that is FSSI, from 1st of April 2025, food packaging for food contact applications can be used for 100% recycled plastics. This is a landmark decision by the government, and they're not, that decision has not been like that just kiske man mein aaya. It is after a scientific thing. In Berlin, in Germany, my son is in Germany, so I had been there last in May, and the reason I'm telling you the story is when I went to get water in the supermarket, to get that bottle of water, I could not get any bottle of water which is from virgin plastic. In the German market, whatever bottle is available as packaged drinking water, it is 100% recycled plastic. And that same plastic is being used and reused again. I asked my son here, I want to see a material of virgin plastics for the bottle. He said, Baba, it's no longer there. All the companies now, this bottle is coming in recycled plastics. Next, please. So recycling zones in Bharat. Almost all the states of our country have recycling sectors, recycling clusters, but they are mostly in the informal chain. So what is the reason why there is no formal recycling? Because of the pollution norms, because plastics has a higher GST rate, where cash transactions still form an integral part of the trade. Of course, things are changing, but more has to be done. Next, please. This is the whole dynamics of the supply chain. On one side, we have the polymer manufacturers that is dominated by 15 large industrial groups. That is the likes of the government companies that produce polymers, the Indian Oil, the GAIL. These in the private sector, they are Reliance, HMEL, Haldia, earlier a government company, is not now a private company. So there are 15 manufacturers of polymers in the country who have their crackers. Other coin is the equipment manufacturers. The raw material produced there are 200 odd players. The manufacturers, raw material producers produce the granules, and these equipment manufacturers are produce the machines which are then used to give form and shape to the plastic processors. 30,000 are unit, mostly small players. In India, the plastic industry is mostly in the MSME sector, the medium and the small, but they are the backbone of the plastic industry. Then whatever plastic is created, that is sent to recycling and end of use plastics. So whatever is packaging, it's 42%, rigid packaging is 17%, automotive use is 7%, agriculture is 9%, household is 4.7%, electronics is 2%. Majority of the plastics used in India is, the major application is in packaging. That's where we have multi-layered packaging and other forms of packaging, which is not easily replaceable. Next, please. So what's the challenge to this, my friends? Our challenge is, next slide, please. Let us start with the why. Let us step back and understand the reasons and the need for plastic waste management. Just excuse me for a moment. So we need an hourglass and see to achieve circular economy, to be sustainable and reduce the carbon footprint. What need to be done? Next, please. The recycling challenge, my friends. Not all plastics can be recycled. We see the symbols, and in this slide, we see the ease of recycling, the manageable plastics for recycling, the difficult and the very difficult plastics for recycling. The PET, that is the water bottle, they are the easiest of recycling. The high density polyethylene, that is the shampoo bottle or the chairs, they're easy to recycle. Polyvinyl chloride, the slippers, the PVC flooring, that is extremely difficult to recycle, and in India there is no system of recycling polyvinyl chloride. The low density polyethylene, specifically the shopping bags, I'm sorry, the bags which have been banned, they are easy to recycle, manageable to recycle. The polypropylene, manageable. Polystyrene, the thermocol, which is banned, it's difficult. And others, the multi-layered plastics. The multi-layered plastics are those plastics which are the chocolate wrappers and the wafers and all these things which are not easy to recyclable. So recycling as a business, one has to see what materials are recyclable and are not. Next, please. Plastics are too complex to be designated by numbers. Many forms and shape, colors and additives, blends of materials, structure, physical property variation, morphology variation. Let me not go into the details. It is molecular weight, additives, crystallinity. This is not simple. And life is not so simple that just we think of recycling. There are a lot of repercussions to that. Next, please. Littering is the major issue with plastics and packaging in India. Littering laws have to be stringent. Friends, we have laws that ban materials, but there are no laws of anti-littering. We very well know when we Indians travel abroad, we do not throw anything and put it in our pocket. Why can't we do that in India? Why can't we have that same mindset here in India? Unorganized system of recycling is one major issue. But it is not a simple thing. The pollution norms are such that it is not affordable. And if one has to legalize everything, some incentives will be needed. Pollution approvals do not permit recycling completely in India. The recycling industry comes under the red or the orange zone. Because of that, the pollution, to avoid pollution, ETP systems and such things, which is not easily done in India because of the constraints. No, I am not saying at all it is not happening. It is happening now. Plastic Waste sorting is not easy. This, if we have to do on a large scale, they are highly expensive. Waste segregation of source. All of us know that we segregate our waste, but again, if it gets waste mixed in the system, how can you expect a good plastic recycling when the material itself is not segregated? Collapsing because of the municipality attitude. But the classic example is of Indore, which has shown to the world how clean they are. Banning or phasing out is the solution. Padma Shri Dr. R. Vasudevan, the plastic man of India, he has introduced roads into the plastic. Sorry, he has used plastics in roads. He has coined a very nice line: not to ban, but to plan. The same plastics, if not usable, but if they are mixed, but if they are good, they can be used in roads. And if you are able to use all the plastics, we will fall short of plastics for roads. In India, we are able to make roads out of plastics. Yes, please. Yes, please. Prabhakar ji. 1 kilometer of road can consume 500 to 600 kgs of plastics. Multi-layer plastics with unrecyclable structures. The wafer packets is the plastic and the metal to keep that. But it is not easy to replace that for the properties at the moment. Next, please. Identifying the plastic and the waste stream, understanding the composition. We don't have the transparent data of disclosures, and we say eyewash. So in the plastic industry, the term is greenwashing, environment washing. And access to information for migration to a circular economy. A circular economy is one where nothing is waste. We have the take, make, use, take, make, use, and throw. That is the linear economy. The take, make, use, reuse is the circular economy. That how we can integrate with the plastic management system, that is important. Next, please. It is very important to know that all plastic waste cannot be recycled only mechanically, and there is where chemical recycling or a hybrid model of mechanical and chemical recycling has to be considered. In India, we have seen the waste to energy plant, but they too have not been successful because the quality of the waste, the quantity of the waste, that has not been proper. And the plastics there, whatever is fed, if it is dirty plastics, the yield is going to be 40 to 50%. And one has to remember not to use the plastics where not needed. That is very important. Next, please. Advanced recycling, the polymer to monomer, going back to the molecule. That is what is happening. This will happen with the multi companies. This cannot be done on the state, but it will happen at the refinery level. The likes of Reliance, the likes of Indian Oil, the likes of Bharat Petroleum, they will go back to the molecule. But it's not easy as it is said. It will need a lot of investments, and it will need a lot of supply chain. Next, please. Now I am going to talk about sustainability. We all have heard about sustainability, but let's define sustainability first. What is a sustainable business? A sustainable business is one where profitability, concern for the environment, and social commitment are in harmony. Running a sustainable business meaning using our own resources and reducing any negative environmental impact. That is sustainability. Environment, economy, consumer well-being, ethics, governance, societal enablement. That is sustainability. Economic value, but at the same time, social, environment, governance, ethics, that is sustainability. And the way of moving whatever business we do, doing it sustainable business values. Next, please. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of things about what is sustainability and is it really happening in India. Sustainability is a problem related to how we handle our increasing desire for the consumption in the world of diminishing resources. A country of 1.48 billion consumers. Dil mange more. We want everything more. But waste generation is also there. Capital goods of services, social angle. We want more, we consume more, and then produce the waste more. Can we only depend on technology to address this problem of converting limited natural sources to meet the unlimited demand of humanity? What does technology have to do here? Is it not the human values that need to be redefined? All are leading to the generation of waste. उसका क्या करे भाई? Next slide, please. Recycling and circular economy principles are necessary, but not sufficient to win the battle of sustainability. Anything and everything can be recycled, but is it viable from the point of view of thermodynamics, enthalpy and entropy? Have we thought of that? Economic cost of recycling, converting, does it make business sense? No one is here to do charity. Learning where to distinguish circularity makes sense and where it does not. You know, ₹1 का shampoo packet आता है. Can it be recycled? You know, for a rack picker or a waste warrior, as he or she is called, he has to bend 400 times to collect 1 kg of plastic bags, which will fetch him or her only 5 rupees. But if he collects the bottles, he'll get 10 to 12 rupees. So how can you expect that? Poorly designed circular economy concepts would be good intentions leading to regrettable consequences. Designing the product properly, that it can be recycled at the end of life. Ye naya soch hai. This is the way to think ahead. Next, please. It's a complex and a wicked problem. Sustainability is a difficult choice. I would go a step further to say, being sustainable, you cannot talk of being sustainable on an empty stomach. You have to have money. You have to make profits and then talk of sustainability. Data and evidence, making a wise choice based on the principle lesser of evils. No decision is without a consequence, but we need to think of the unintended consequence. कुछ अच्छा करने क्यों जाओ तो ये भी है कि unintended problem क्या हुआ है. The real danger lies कि हम तो गए एक complex problem को simple करने के लिए, and at the end of it we created a more problem. For every complex question, there is a simple answer, and it is invariably wrong. Life is not so easy, and no one can just do inventions that way. Next, please. Sustainability is ultimately a new way of thinking and doing, but at the same time, it requires a change in mindset and social engineering. And it begins with you and me. For that, the first step is education, embedding education of sustainability to create a new generation of people who think or act differently. That is the way to make business successful and sustainable. Next, please. There are no standards of sustainability, one for the developed world and other for the developing world. Economic weaker sections of the society have as much as stake in sustainability as the other sections. The poorer you are, the impact of unsustainable consumption and unbridled expansion of the economy is greater. Growing income inequality is a major threat to sustainability. It's not easy, friends. There are truths. Next, please. Economic growth and sustainability go hand in hand. Generating increasing livelihood is compatible with sustainable development. For sustainable development, we need new materials, the materials of ease, the materials of convenience, the materials that are cheap. However, this will require decoupling of economic growth from resource consumption, proactive, open, and transparent engagement, license to operate a business from society. Look at that cartoon. Yes, the planet got destroyed, but for a beautiful moment in our time, we created a lot of value for our shell holders. Is this sustainability? हमने तो और बर्बाद किया, but we created value for our shareholders. Is it sustainable? What has this to do with plastics? The answers will be in the next few slides. Next, please. So to make things sustainable and give a direction to it, the plastic waste management rules came in 2016 and amended in 2022. So it puts the onus of the producers, importers, and brand manners to the plastic packaging, recycling, and use of recycled content. And those organizations have to file a report by the 30th of June. The plastic waste management rules have put in what is called as an extended producer's responsibility, whereby the company manufacturing or putting into the market any plastic, it has to collect back the plastic, which is brand neutral. The target set for the years was 25%, 70%, and 100%. What does it mean? How much plastic you put in the plastic, you have to take it back. That is brand neutral. And the important thing is that recycling plastic and the plastic recycled content will go as high as 80% in all categories of packaging. That's not in India, it's for the world. For that, we will need to have sustainability. For that, we will need to have good plastic to be used for food contact applications and our packaging. We are going to that sustainable world. Will it be possible? Next, please. Just keep on pressing the enter button, please. So how do we redefine plastics in a new world? Please keep on pressing the enter key or the next key. We have to redesign. We have to be responsible. We have to reposition our thoughts and actions. We have to resist the temptation of not using plastics that are not needed. We have to restructure our actions and we have to rethink. So this is the different R's: redesign, responsible, reposition, resist the temptation, restructure, and rethinking. This is redefining plastics in 2025. Next, please. जो अपॉर्चुनिटी है ना वही चैलेंज है. इंडिया रिकवर्स 70% of the plastic waste, higher than even USA and Singapore. Look at the circles there. The value chain. Plastic hai, it is going to collectors, it is going to discarded, it is going to the aggregators, and it is going for the informal recyclers. Or this chain ye hai na bhai sahab, it's a fragmented hai. You have to make it formalized and have a structure. How we have a nice value chain for the greatest example of nice value chain is Amul. How milk is created, the cooperative, and that how it reaches our homes. And Amul today is in USA. How that supply chain is established. Can't we have a similar supply chain for plastic waste management? That is what is important. Next, please. Ethical, traceable, clean economy, green jobs. That is the sustainable supply chain and innovation. This is the picture of a state-of-the-art recycling plant in Hyderabad, where on the belt you see the various articles. Some are being manually connected and then they are being separated by laser with ethical and traceable supply chain. That is the change in 2025. Next, please. Trace every bottle back to its source. Tracing where the bottle came back. Going back to the quality feedstock, the milk cooperative model, as I mentioned. A QR code where the bottle came from and where it is going for recycling. Just 2-3 days ago, an announcement was made. On every bag, there will be a QR code now. That is a mandate by the government of India. We are talking of embedding technology with the plastic to find its source, where it came from and where it will go. That is, we are talking of AI. Let's move first to transparency and traceability through the simple QR code. That will help us to give a good quality feedstock. That will help us to build a recycled system for collection of the material, where material will be available that is clean and which will be used for making the products again. Next, please. Old path, a new path. Time to choose. Look at that. The thing I was explaining. Do we have to travel the same path as the developed countries, committing their legendary mistake and repents decades later instead of learning from them and charting a different path? Or is there Bharat model? Sustainability development, the society's prosperity is not merely mentioned per capita consumption of plastics. How can green polymers contribute? What I mean by that is alternative polymers, polymers made from natural resources. That is where we can think out of the box. That is the new way. Next, please. Plastics have versatile properties. but their growth has been associated with negative environmental impact. Taking steps to address the unwanted side effects and the unintended consequences requires intervention from all the resin manufacturers, the producers, the producer of the consumer goods, and ultimately you and me. It's like the five fingers. If they don't come together, the problem will not be solved. Industry has to play a role. Science and technology has to play a role. Regulation has to play a role. Everything is there. Then only we can talk about sustainable plastic and circular value chain. And the time is now. Next, please. Problems तो बहुत है. Cannot be merely a waste handling challenge. It has to assume greater significance in our thinking. If we have to take routes as mean of gaining society's license to operate and stay in business. We are investing in capacities for materials, but without thinking about how we will get the raw material in the value chain. This is not going to be easy. And business cannot be sustainable. Next, please. Circularity must be sustainable. Circularity does not offer a value proposition to the consumer. सबको सस्ता चाहिए, सबको फ्री चाहिए. Ideal reality and look at the economic opportunity. जब तक ये gap नहीं होगा, how can we dare think of putting up a new business which is sustainable? Where will that money come from? Additional production cost होएगा. Such a dichotomy it is that recycled materials for food contact applications are costlier than the virgin materials. ये तो होना ही है because it's not economically feasible. At the end of it, no one is here for charity. They are here for business. Next, please. Look at the landmark mandate that India has set up on herself. EU separates collect for recycling, and look at the directives in India. We are talking of EU directive of 2030 of 100% obligations. In India, we are already much set our targets there. Most aggressive targets, and we have begun. We will achieve that. And see the target, 30% in 2025. This begins from 1st April of 2025. No doubt it will not be easy to achieve that recycled content in the first year. But the way has been set and the path will be followed. Government is not going back on the target. पहले साल में नहीं हुआ तो भी ठीक है, but at least we'll make that effort. India is among the only few states in the world taking that landmark decision and using the recycled content. Europe में तो होगा, it is not new. India में होगा, that is landmark. Next, please. Ocean plastics. The plastics littered in the ocean. India has made a lot of strides in that. The rules, the ocean cleanups, all said and done. But if we don't stop littering, क्या होगा भाई? Next, please. education, social media. Social media influence it the right way, not the wrong way. Community workshops, engaging with policymakers, support initiatives, reusable bags and containers. Companies को support करना with eco-friendly policies. Are we ready to pay an extra 2 rupees or a 5 rupees for the plastic bag which is eco-friendly? Nothing is cheap before it is costly first. Are we ready to go that extra mile, go that extra rupee to pay for sustainability? That is important. Next, please. The famous Indore and the Bhopal model we know. 72 nations have adopted the Indore's waste to energy model. Bhopal's plastic recycling model has been showcased at World Bank headquarters. India has set an example to the world. Next, please. This is a classic example of frugality and waste and intelligence coming together. Shalu. She is a robo made from 100% waste material, a social humanoid developed by a professor in the Kendriya Vidyalaya at IIT Mumbai, Bombay. Shalu, made from discarded plastic, cardboard, wood, and aluminium. She displays emotions. She has a wide range of skills, including speaking 9 languages and 38 foreign languages. She's being used as a robo teacher. Shalu can be an inspiration for you and me. That is the real waste to wealth. And the classic example of a robo made from waste. Next, please. Vikasit Bharat will witness an economy of USD 30 trillion. India consuming 11 kgs or 15 kgs will then consume 40 kgs of plastics in Vikasit Bharat. We will need polymer availability and talk of sustainable and recycled materials to achieve those R's, what we say. Next, please. Opportunity for investment in courage and steps for a better world. And 30 years ago, we used to say that the climate of the business is good. Today, we have made a business out of climate, business of solar, the business of recycling, the business of waste management. We are playing and made it into a business. It requires courage. It requires investments to take care of our world, which we have ourselves polluted. Next, please. Indian waste management market size was valued at 1230 crores rupees in 2022. Look at the staggering market size to 2,170 crores by 2032. The market for recycling plastic waste was 9.9 million tons and projected to grow to 23.7 million tons, growing at an average rate of over 9.8%. That is economy. That is sustainability. Whether you like it or not, whether we ban it or not, but this is the truth. Next, please. We have, for they are young and they have a dream and they make impact. Clean tech startups are there across 450 districts in 34 states. We at our G20 presidentship demonstrated a commitment to sustainable and innovation. And we have come out with a recycling handbook, which you can see at this website. I'll request our uh, Manvinder Singh ji to share this PPT, and you can download that handbook at the website given here. It has to become sustainable, the waste management ecosystem. Next, please. We all talk of reduce, reuse, but do we respect our waste, my friends? We are eating some food on a table. The extra food which we have taken or which we do not like has become a waste at the next moment, and at that same time it is wasted. Bans are there, but do we at the same time, can we improve the collection and environmental management? Circular economy, low carbon impact products, startups with innovative solutions. Mera Desh Badal Raha Hai. This is a company, this is a startup, Feel Good Eco Nurture. They are making tiles from plastic, discarded plastic. He has made clothes. This is a young boy of 28 years, Sharang. He has made clothes, and he was responsible for giving a jacket made from recycled plastics to the Prime Minister of India. That's the power of the startups. Things are changing. Startup India is no longer a dream, but a reality. The punchline of this startup is feel good eco nurture, where waste feels good and we nurture our ecology. That's the new India. Next, please. Next, winners don't do different things. They just do things differently. Why cannot we imbibe this in our thoughts and our actions for the waste management and circular economy of plastics? Next, please. A global plastic treaty is being discussed where all the countries of the world are coming together to form a mechanism, or it is a globally legally binding treaty which will come up in the next year or so. The discussions were there, and the last meeting of this intergovernmental negotiating group was held in Korea, South Korea, but they did not reach a consensus. They could have done that through voting, but if something is not agreed entirely, what is the use then? The famous words of the chairman of that session was, nothing is agreed till everything is agreed by the world in terms of finding solution to plastics pollution. When the world will take steps to come together for a better plastic treaty. That is what is important. Next, please. Circular economy, resources, manufacturing, consumption and use, not to landfill, but to recycling. That is the circular economy. That is what we are seeing today. Next, please. Fashionable hai, elegant hai, yet difficult. Discarded plastics get contaminated. This means that the material must be collected, sorted, and cleaned before it can be reused. Energy is required at every step. This is not trivial. It is much cheaper to make virgin materials than recover the reused. Complexity becomes larger when you consider widely different life cycle of material streams. Environmental cost of pollution is externalized since there is a no economic incentive to perform this. Zamana gaya subsidies ka. It has to be self-supported. Going back to the designing system, poorly designed circular economy concepts would yet be another example of good intentions leading to regrettable consequences. This is what has to be changed. Next, please. Again, why this slide is repeated. Ideal and reality. Who will do business if it does not offer a value proposition to the consumer, to the manufacturer? Economic sustainability is there. We are not talking of charity here. And no one can afford charity for a long time. How do you make it sustainable? Next, please. This is that example of a multi-layered plastic, the chocolate wrappers, the wafer wrappers being converted into multi-layered tiles. Plastic waste, designer tiles. Next, please. Product design technologies are there, digital technologies are there, AI tools are there, robotics are there, labeling here. But the last thing is important. Upfront costs are high and requires considerable retrofitting of the existing facilities. If business has to be done in the right way, these investments have to become. The value chain has to be improved, and it begins with you and me by not letting the plastic go that way. If we can clean the plastic and give it in the right way, all this will be easy. Identification and cleaning. गंदा को जितनी गंदगी करेंगे, it will be difficult to recycle, to clean. That is why it's important that it begins from you and me at home. Next, please. Partnerships in waste management. The ministry is coming up with the right rules, the urban affairs, the enforcement, the Swachh Bharat mission, the startup mission, innovators, recycling, web of collaborations. That is the way ahead. Isolation se kuch bhi nahi hoga. Tandem, that is the way. Hum saath, sabka saath. That is the way of looking at in India's waste management dynamic approach. Next, please. Redesigned to be implemented. Complexity of plastic packaging, under design. Standards for defining sustainability that are being now thought upon and enforcement. Next, please. Again, that same slide. Everyone has to come together. We have talked about it. Let's do something in 2025. Next, please. The future of plastics can be free from choking and working for sustainability. Bioplastics is the new in thing, but it is not at such a thing. We don't have disposing facilities because bioplastics cannot be composted at home. It will need a collaborative effort, which will innovation and commitment, and where plastic pollution is at rest. Next, please. Marine environment is being polluted. The Swachh Bharat, the National Mission for Clean Ganga, the smart cities, all this will have to be strengthened. The research in technologies and ground level impact for collection and sorting has to be done. Next, please. Mission Life. 1 billion Indians conserving our environment, where each of us has a role to play. That is important. Next, please. The social cost of plastic industry in India is estimated at a whopping 62 to 96 billion dollars. The present value is 541 billion. The net value of benefits that will be accrued by implementing 100% of circularity is 170 billion. These are not figures that have come like that. If everything can be done sustainably, it is a valuable proposition. Next, please. We are talking of net zero by 2070. We are talking of bio manufacturing and biofoundry. We are talking of biocircular economy, where in circular economy, we use the principles of bio, that is the earth. We have made a step. The run is yet to follow. Next, please. Will infrastructure have to change? Littering habits have to change. Willpower and action, commitment of all the consumers, producers, lawmakers, industries, brands, for making a Bharat of your and my dreams. Sorry, that word DR has missed their dreams. It's a music, a symphony. All have to play the same music. Upskilling of the labor from rack pickers to processing waste warriors, incentivizing, that is important. Next, please. Investment for risk-taking, courage, convincing, healthy control of climate, intellect, aggression, and positivity. That is success. And yes, we can, we have to, for a better planet. Next, please. Yes, we can. In the end, the power that plastic wields comes from all of us. All of us benefit from it, even as we suffer from its ill effects. In its failings, plastic shows our collective failure as a society, as an industry, and as the system. We are not made wise, not by the recollection of our past, but by the responsibility of each of us we have for our future. Next, please. If you can't change the direction, you may end up going where we are heading. This way, that way, usual way, sustainable way. We have to think over this, ponder over this, and act over it in 2025. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, sir. My camera is again some glitch, so I'm not able to put it on.
Sir, actually, I have few questions.
Yes, please.
Sir, I actually, first of all, I am sincerely we have conducted one conference workshop last year, and somewhere in the month of October. And from that point onward, I was actually very much keen to have you in our workshop. So that from that time itself, we have been like trying to conduct something. And when I get this opportunity, I was like pretty very much sure that I'll have to invite you, because the area in which you are is very close to me.
It's so nice, sir. Thank you for your words, and it means a lot.
Sir, actually, even though I have been working in the area of sustainability, and though I must say that I love plastic, because as you have mentioned in your presentation also, that one is a cost, it is cost effective, and another is that we do not have any possible alternative available. But the problem is, sir, like we do not have alternative. But at the same time, if we talk about the microplastic contamination in our body or in food, but that is a challenge. How we can address that?
I very well appreciate that. There are scientific studies which say that about microplastics. I will share you important notes on this on email. You can share it to the people. Microplastic as a problem is being highlighted, but it is not so what it has been made of. There have been scientific studies, and there are microplastics and some micromaterials and other form things, and no person till now has lost his life because of microplastics. So this has to be approached through a scientific angle. And what you say is absolutely correct. Microplastics are there, but they need to be addressed, and the plastic industry and the scientists are taking ways to address this. It is not such a simple issue at all. I totally agree and admit that microplastics are there, but there are ways to eliminate it and there are ways to reduce it.
So, like as you have mentioned, this the challenge, this supply chain. Usually, even along with that, you have mentioned that majorly this has been well taken care by the SMEs. But last year itself, in our annual budget, government has came up for the circular economy. Means they came up with the concept of circular economy, where they have put forth some of the budget for that.
Yes.
So, like in due course of time, maybe this is going to be a game changer.
Yes.
Especially for recycling or other thing.
Yes, it is being so the government has just introduced it, but to percolate it to the ground level, to the industry, it will take time. You know, we are just coming out of the pandemic, and now the industry is growing. So the industry has been stabilizing now, and now we are talking and implementing that. And no doubt, the plastic industry is committed of reducing the plastic waste, because let me be very clear with you, no court of law in any country, be it India or the world, is going to accept the plastics. So no, you know, you just we from the industry will not be able to run away from that. So incentivization and steps are there, and government is now not giving subsidies but giving incentivization. So it's a very well thought of strategy, and it will be certainly being done. That's why I said in 2025 we are seeing those many steps, and we have to go that path. Thank you for that information, which is very important.
Thank you, sir.
I hope my presentation was understood, and I hope I've been able to put our points together.
So it was too good. Actually, few of the questions are there.
Yeah.
Like in rural areas, majorly they rely on informal or unorganized waste disposal methods, like open burning or dumping. So how to address that?
Sir, iska simple answer to hey, but answer is simple, but the problem is not it is not getting sorted out, because there is rely on informal sector and it costs, and waste disposal itna hota hai, to wo kaisa manage kare. First you have to teach them, then you have to make a system where it is economic for them to collect and then recycle. Open dumping ho raha hai, agreed, we have to stop that, agreed, but hoega nahi. You know, once in the how, you know, we have seen Swachh Bharat work at the, and what is portrayed is we have seen Swachh Bharat urban, but there is an equal policy of Swachh Bharat rural. It is being implemented, but sir, we are in big towns and cities. Udhar hum nahi kar paaye, and we are expecting those people to change their habits.
True, sir.
The basic problem is there. We have to inculcate our habits in there and then talk of all this. open ground. Everyone knows. The government has made Swachh Bharat, and we know how the first part was of the toilets. Mindset changes, and it will require the same education and same commitment to stop this, and then only they will stop burning it.
So there's another question. Does the recycling process of the plastic have any impact on the environment? Recycling process?
Positive impact on the environment and what you said about the repairing material is absolutely correct. We have what is known as a right to repair in the circular economy. And if you now see, to give an example, not in plastics, but in mobile phones, now government has made it mandatory to use C type of chargers.
Yes.
There is a universal charger, and the right to repair in India, it has not come. There is a regulation in European Union where it has come is that Apple and those companies will not phase out a phone for at least 5 to 7 years. The parts, why do we take a new phone? Because the parts are not available after a certain number of years, or the repairing becomes costly. The European Union has made these changes. They were the right to repair and the right, the parts should be available, so they will make that there. Policies and incentives, very right, sir, very right. So I will tell you important thing, unfortunately this does not reach the rural area. The funds are there coming from the Swachh Bharat, but from Swachh Bharat rural, but they go back because the last mile work is not done. The last mile connectivity of, telling the people, educating them, and putting those funds to the right. You have to also think one important fact, sir, that one village may not generate that kind of waste to make a viable recycling plant. So there are thoughts of a cluster of villages, and you just cannot transport waste from one place to another. There is a scientific study there that if the waste is transported over 200 kilometers, it is not viable. So a cluster has to be formed of these villages and all this, and then only it will become viable for recycling and circular economy.
Like in case of ETP, effluent treatment plants, they have been formed for the clusters. Similarly, for the recycling also can be done in a similar way.
Recycling clusters, as I said, though I showed you the list. So these recycling clusters, which are informal, they are being formalized by the government, and they will give solve the issues of a common effluent plant treatment. So this is happening, but it will take time.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your insightful session.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir.
And I will share you that microplastics note, which you also please share, which talks scientifically.
Actually, we need it because actually in the common public we have this perception. Usually people think of that a plastic is something which is wrong, but unfortunately we do not have any possible alternative for the plastic. So we have to live with the plastic.
Plastic ka ban socho, stop using the mobile phone, stop using your toothbrush, everything.
Everything will be costly.
Stop very close also, na? Go back to the leaves and the
We'll have to go to the primitive ages.
So see, I am not at all promoting plastics. Like how we had the Stone Age, the Iron Age, the Copper Age, we have the Plastic Age, and this is going to change. And now it's a combination of materials. If you have to see, we are talking of composites, we are talking of other materials. So every material has its own positive and negative sides. So this is one of the ways, and we have to live with it and find solution to that.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks once again.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.